Welcome to the Fall 2 Online Captains Meeting. In this video, you will learn about many of the intramural sports policies and procedures, as well as a few specific sport rules to help you complete the captain's quizzes. To start, we would like to introduce our intramural sports staff. Up first is our Senior Assistant Director, Cheryl Jendrika Wright. Next up is our Assistant Directors, Nick DeMarchi and AJ Haddock. And finally, we have our student coordinators, Brandon Barlog, John Brown, and Chad Zimmerman. To get things started, we want to talk about the most important part of intramural sports, sportsmanship. Good sportsmanship benefits everyone, and one person exhibiting bad sportsmanship can make an otherwise fun experience much less enjoyable. In order to maintain the proper play and environment, the sportsmanship rating policy has been established. Each contest will be rated by the officials. Teams will begin the game or event with 10 sportsmanship points. During the course of the contest, teams may lose points if their behavior deteriorates. Point deductions have been broken down into the following 3 levels. Level 1 is a 1-point deduction and is the least severe. This includes things such as verbal warnings and administrative penalties. Level 2 is a 3-point deduction. This includes things such as certain in-game penalties along with spectator penalties. Level 3 is a 7-point deduction and is the most severe. This level includes things such as flagrant ejections and alcohol consumption. There are also certain sport-specific deductions for each level that can be viewed here. There is a zero-tolerance policy in regards to alcohol. It is not allowed at any of the facilities, nor should it be used prior or during any intramural events. Anyone suspected of consuming alcohol prior to their event will be ejected and their game will be forfeited. Along with that, we have a zero-tolerance policy regarding verbal or physical abuse towards officials, supervisors, and other participants. We are here to promote sportsmanship. No abuse will be tolerated. For the Fall 2 season, men's and co-recreational leagues will be available. In all of our men's leagues, female participation is allowed. It is important to note that in all of our co-rec leagues, there are a certain number of males and females that are needed to participate at the same time. If you are not sure that you will always have the necessary number of males and females, we would suggest you to play in the men's league. In order to participate in intramural sports, you must adhere to at least one of the following. You can be a currently enrolled student, or you can have a valid rec sports membership. If you are a recent graduate or are not taking courses, you must purchase a rec sports membership in order to play intramurals. If you have a question regarding memberships, please visit our website at recsports.umich.edu/members. Any one of those eligible participants may play on one co-rec team and one non-co-rec team per sport. Current intercollegiate athletes are not allowed to compete on an intramural team in their sport or related sport. So, a current football player could not play football, but they could participate in our basketball leagues. Additionally, teams are only allowed to have one current club athlete and one ex-varsity athlete on an intramural team in their sport or related sport. Therefore, the club softball team could not create an intramural softball team, but they could create an intramural soccer team. When you arrive to your game, you should present your M card to the official on your court who is checking players in. If someone on your team misuses an M card, your team will not be eligible to play in the playoffs. Remember, it is up to you, the captain, to make sure everyone on your team checks in with the officials. All players that are going to participate in the game must have their M card checked in by the game official. Additionally, players must be on their roster in order to play in the game. To get on the roster, players must join their team on our scheduling website, umich.athleague.com. All players must join the team on the website before they can participate in any games. Now are some important notes about the rosters. As the captain of your team, you will need to make sure these things are taken care of by 12 p.m. noon the day of your game. Once again, these need to be done by noon. First, make sure your roster is set up on Athleague website. To do this, You need to make sure that all of your players have individually created profiles and registered for your team. If someone is not added to the roster by noon the day of your game or by noon Friday for Sunday games, that person will not appear on the game day roster and will not be allowed to play in the game that night. It is important to note the players that have participated in at least one regular season game to be eligible for the playoffs. As the manager, it is your responsibility that each player on your roster is on by noon that day, as well as your responsibility to check that each player has signed in for every game. If you need more players for your team, you can use the free agent board that is located on the Athleague website. If during your game you feel that the rules in the game have been unfairly administered, your team may protest that particular event, provided the protest procedure adheres to the following guidelines. It is important to note that all protests must be made by the team captain only. A rules interpretation protest occurs based on a misinterpretation of the rules by the official and must be made to an official at the time of the alleged misinterpretation occurs and prior to the next live ball. An administrative interpretation protest occurs based on misinterpretation of the intramural sports policies and procedures and must be made before the end of the game. An eligibility protest involves a player's eligibility in a contest in which a protesting team participated in and must be made before the next live ball. You will then see the supervisor on site and receive a protest form. These protest forms must be submitted with a $20 down payment to the Intramural Sports Building main office by 4:30 p.m. the next business day following your game. Inclement weather happens, and there's nothing that we can do about it. If we do get bad weather, decisions made will be posted on our Facebook and Twitter pages, or you can call the Intramural Sports Hotline at 734-763-0050. Please remember that any games canceled due to bad weather are not guaranteed to be rescheduled. Forfeits should be avoided at all costs. Not only does it affect your team, it affects the team you should have been playing. A forfeit happens when a team does not have enough players to play in the game. If this happens, the opposing team will have the option to take the win or to wait 10 minutes to see if the other team will arrive. If the team still doesn't arrive after 10 minutes, it will be a forfeit. If your team forfeits, it will result in a loss for the game and you will lose 7 SRS points. This year, we are trying out a new policy. In order to cut down on forfeits, if you know your team will not be able to make it to your game, we will now be offering the opportunity to default a game. You will have the opportunity to email us at intramurals@umich.edu with your team name, the league your team is in, and the time and date of the game you won't be able to attend by noon the day of your game. Doing this will give our office a greater chance to fill this game, and because of this, your team will only lose 3 SRS points instead of the 7 you would lose for a forfeit. However, your team will only be able to default or forfeit 1 game per season. Now on to the biggest question. Is your team going to make the playoffs? The quick answer is every team has a chance to make the playoffs. However, there are certain occurrences that will keep a team from making them. One of these is if a player on your team improperly uses an M card. Another is if your team did not complete the intramural sports policy quiz and sport-specific quiz. Additionally, you cannot have defaulted or forfeited more than 1 game. And at the base of the pyramid, your team must finish with the regular season with at least 31 SRS points. In the playoffs, teams must maintain 7 or more SRS points, or the game will be forfeited. You can mark your calendars now for our playoff instant scheduling, which will take place on Monday, November 19th for the Fall 2 season. If you need help signing up for that, you can click on the link below, which will take you to a video which will explain that process more. Now to explain a Cliff Notes version, if you will, of our Fall 2 sport rules. First, we have our 3-on-3 basketball, single-sex, and co-rec leagues. All games will be played at the Intramural Sports Building main office. All games are played in an area the size of half court with an imaginary line across the top of the key denoting the check line. A team must have 2 players to start and continue a game, with substitutions being made when your team has the ball. All right, sorry for that sneeze. We're going to restart at the top of the basketball. 3, 2. First, we have our 3-on-3 basketball single sex and co-rec leagues. All games will be played at the Intramural Sports Building main gym. All games are played in an area the size of half court, with an imaginary line across the top of the key denoting the check line. A team must have 2 players to start and continue a game, with substitutions being made when your team has the ball. All baskets are worth 1 point, and games are played up to 30 points, or whoever is leading at the end of the 55-minute time limit. The game is self-officiated, meaning any dispute will be solved with shooting for the ball or a replay. Timeouts are only used in semifinal and final games. The main co-rec modifications state that teams must have at least 1 female and 1 male to start and continue a game. Either gender may play with 2 while the other plays with 1, and there will be no point differential for baskets scored by females. Next is our co-rec intertube water polo season. All games will be played in the Intramural Sports Building pool. Intertube water polo is a non-contact sport consisting of 7 players on each side, one of which is a goalkeeper. 4 players are required to start and continue a game. All players must sit butt down in a tube, and if they fall out, the only thing they may do is get right back in the tube. When a team receives 6 personal fouls, they will lose 1 SRS point, and a penalty shot will be awarded to the opponent. Some of the main co-rec modifications regard gender participation. Penalty shots awarded due to a major foul must be taken by the same gender as the person fouled. At least 2 females and 2 males are required to start and continue a game. And in co-rec B games, goals scored by females count as 2 points. Always a popular sport among Michigan students, we are offering our men's and women's broomball leagues this season. Please remember that co-rec broomball is not this season. All games will be played at Yost Ice Arena. All game equipment except for shoes will be provided, and all players must wear a helmet with a full face mask. The game is played by 2 teams consisting of 5 players each, with a minimum of 3 players required to start and finish a game. All substitutions can be made on the fly, and each game will be administered with 1 or 2 officials. Please remember that physical or verbal abuse directed toward our officials will not be tolerated. All games consist of 2 15-minute periods. There are minor and major penalties that the officials will administer to keep play fair and under control. A general reminder, if you drink the booze, you lose in intramural sports. Finally, our most popular sport, flag football, will be offered in single-sex and co-rec leagues. Games will be played primarily at Mitchell Field, with some also played at Elbel Field and Oosterbaan Fieldhouse. Games consist of 2 22-minute halves with 7 players on each side. A coin toss will determine who gets to choose offense, defense, or defer their decision to the second half. The start of every possession will begin on the 14-yard line, with the zone to gain being the 20-yard line. After that, each zone to gain is separated by 20-yard marks. There are no kickoffs, and for punts, teams may not leave the line of scrimmage for coverage until the ball has been kicked. Upon scoring a touchdown, teams can choose to go for 1, 2, or 3 points. 1-point tries are from the 3-yard line, 2-point tries are from the 10-yard line, and 3-point tries are from the 20-yard line. As a ball carrier, please be aware of what constitutes a flag guard, such as motions that block opponents from pulling flags. Remember, it is illegal to tie the flag belt, and such action will result in an ejection. As is the case with all of our sports, jewelry is prohibited. Finally, there are a number of co-rec modifications to flag football. First, co-rec flag football is 8-on-8, not 7-on-7. You need a minimum of 6 players to start, 3 males and 3 females. There are open and closed plays which determine the eligibility of female and male receivers. For example, on a closed play, a male quarterback can only throw to female receivers to open up the next play. There are no separate co-rec A provisions, but in co-rec B, female touchdowns count for 9 points. Please read more of our flag football rules for clarifications on penalty enforcements and co-rec modifications. Please note that those rules were only the main and basic rules to each of our sports. It is up to you, the captain, to read the rules on our Rec Sports website for further detail and disseminate the entirety of our rules to your teammates. Stay connected with us through our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube pages, or check out our offering at our Rec Sports website. If you have any questions regarding what you saw in this video, please don't hesitate to contact us at intramurals@umich.edu. To complete your requirements, you need to complete the Captain Quiz along with a sport-specific quiz. You can click on the links below. Captain's quizzes are both due for the full 10 SRS points by the first day of games at noon, which is October 28th. Any quizzes turned in after that time will result in just one SRS point, but your team will maintain its playoff eligibility. Remember, to make the playoffs, you must complete both captain's quizzes. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Good luck this season. Go Blue.